Hey everybody, and welcome to the Is It Kino Election Day Special. That's right, don't forget to go out there and vote for whoever E. Rich tells you to. I am Simeon D. Jimmy, joined today on this special occasion by Eggy Eggman Rodriguez.
And as you know, I can, not really be legally trusted with, legally culpable legal advice. But in any case, I'm going to be writing in my favorite YouTube celebrity for president this year.
Oh, who is that? E. Rich McCoy?
Oh, I can't. Who's that? I remember he was old and Tony Chase. Tony Chase. He's you might have heard him in a LOLCOW compilation. He talks about how the 5G satellite controllers are burning holes in the back of his teeth, which is true, by the way. His teeth are very unhealthy looking, and that's the reason why, I guess so. I
did see our mutual friend Digibro is planning on running for president when she is of age.
As long as Z is of age and democratically consenting. No, but in all seriousness, folks, I'm also going to run for president every single year when I turn 35 and from then on, because it might be a good grift.
And a man who watched this movie because he idolizes Trump and wanted to learn more about him, E. Rich McCoy.
Audience, you were going to be writing in Mr. Beast as the president of the United States for year 2024.
A vote for Mr. Beast is a vote for Kamala, my goodness.
Go ahead and write that in. The dead eyes of Mr. Beast shall be looking over the nation. So, yeah.
Well, the reason I wanted us three here, and we did get a comment long ago, I think the last time it was the three of us, somebody said this is the best trio. And then I gave it a heart and said I agree, and then Weekend Warrior responded to that. That was pretty funny. But... E. Rich, he's been a lifelong Kamala man. He's proudly going to go vote for her today on the day this releases. Eggy, his first words out of the womb were "Make America Great Again," and then he did a Hitler salute and said "Hail Trump." So
yeah, that's a Roman, okay?
Roman
Hitler
salute, right?
They didn't even know about him for like 3,000 years, okay? So,
but I wanted to know this new Trump biopic coming out right before the election. Can it be enjoyed by people on both sides of the political aisle? So I think us three can fairly judge it in those terms. What do you think?
I think everyone will say that this movie is just all right. Enjoy is a little bit overblown. I think the movie itself is fine for the most part. I think it could do with a little bit more focus, but I don't think anybody is going to be super offended by anything in the movie. Unless I'm completely wrong.
I feel like everybody's offended without having even seen the movie because it is flopping horribly. I think it made
nobody is watching this.
It made $1 million its opening weekend or something terrible on a $20 million budget or something. So people are offended at the idea of a Trump movie, and you'd think people from both sides could be interested, but it seems like nobody from either side is.
I don't even think it's offended. I just think they don't want to see it. It's just kind of
it's like the Trump people assume it's Hollywood bias bullshit that's going to make them look bad, so they're not going to see it. And then maybe liberal people are just sick of hearing about Trump in general and just want him to go away, and they're hoping, after today, maybe they won't have to.
Mm-hmm. Today, November 5th.
Yeah. Special election day coverage. Eggy, what do you think as you got a Trump flag hanging up above your bed?
As I'm wrapped in the Trump cloth as I currently sit in my Trump chamber.
That's right.
I think it's a fine biopic for, what it focuses on. It kind of has a little bit of that gritty capitalist texture to it. It's got a little bit of that. I know this is really about Trump, and there's dramatization here, and it's very politically charged right now. But that's not even anything that I was even considering when I watched the movie. I'm just looking at this purely as a sort of business development with some interpersonal drama, some family dynamics. There's this thing that it's supposed to, I think, be a little more on the forefront, where there's racial elements here. There's elements concerning homosexuality and the treatment of homosexuality, especially in this era. I felt like, other than the fact that people are dying of AIDS in parts, I didn't feel like it was that impactful to me. I think as much as the media surrounding the movie would lead you to believe, I feel like it seemed to be a little more dialed in just on Trump's business acumen and hit some of his interpersonal relationships, such as that with Ivana Trump. So as much as there's this subtext, in my opinion, of the like racial inequities that are going on in Trump properties, and how Roy Cohn in the film, who is Trump's close legal counsel, and then some, and how he feels about Jewish people, blacks, communists, etc.
With the irony being he's gay all along, and that's how he dies. We watch him get butt fucked. That's how you get AIDS. Hey, I don't know if I hope they didn't teach you that wherever you went, but we see him get it, and then that's how he dies. Roy Cohn. It's from AIDS. So there's AIDS is pretty important in the movie, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, although the original thing that he needs Roy Cohn's help with, that Donald Trump needs Roy Cohn's help with, is because they're being alleged for racial discrimination against their tenants who are not white. They're saying, hey, where's the reparations? You're not supposed to be making them pay rent. And Trump, he's over there doing like, well, folks, you got to pay rent. I'm sorry, we have the best rent in New York City. We've got the best diverse people in our apartments, but you do have to pay rent still. It is what it is.
Well, yeah, and that is the irony, is that Roy Cohn is helping subjugate this minority while being a subjugated minority himself. So he's a bit of a hypocrite in some regard, you could say. But I guess you could say this movie does not paint a kind portrait of this guy Roy Cohn. It was portrayed by Jeremy Strong.
Is the like Frankenstein, and Trump is the Frankenstein's monster, where it's like at one point it's very clear that Trump has kind of gone his own way and Cohn doesn't really have much influence over him anymore, and it's kind of it's out of his hands. Like he's kind of made the person who will become Donald Trump, and he just has to kind of live with that.
Now, you say Frankenstein's monster. Is it more of Geppetto and Pinocchio? He made Trump into a real boy doll. Well, he made this doll of Trump like a golem.
He made Trump into a real doll?
No. So, in the metaphor, who is the fairy that turns the doll into a real boy? Is it the American population that like makes Trump a celebrity, and Roy Cohn's kind of a shadowy figure and he's left behind? I want him to be Geppetto instead of Frankenstein's monster, because how dare you say
I just
Donald Trump is a monster? He's a hero.
I just don't think Geppetto and Pinocchio have a like bad relationship. I think Pinocchio loves his father.
Have you seen Pinocchio too?
Back at the end. I have not seen Pinocchio too. I don't know the
Pinocchio backstabs Geppetto. It's pretty brutal.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, this movie is very much arguing the relationship with Roy Cohn led to the man Trump is today, and in all these things he's teaching him. This movie reminds me of X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it should have been called like President Origins Trump, and they should do this for all of them. Where like the cartoony things that you know them for, like we see where they came from, and like the stealing.
So like the Obama one starts with him like being born in Kenya or something, and then somebody like smuggles him into Hawaii and fakes a long form birth certificate or something.
Well, is that you implying that this movie is full of fake shit?
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely like making stuff up or making like assumptions about certain things.
I think E-Rich is trying to say that this is actually pulling the curtain back, because that's what Obama's Kenyan origins would be, as finally the truth comes out. So I think we're seeing here, Donald Trump, he starts off, he doesn't know how to do business very well. He's over there like, well, like actually, when you look at this Ration logic that's from prehistoric Reddit times, and everyone's just laughing in his face. Then Roy Cohn comes out of the bathhouse. He says, hey, listen here, schmucks. Hey, Donald Trump. That's my buddy right here, okay? And maybe not the other type of way that my buddies usually are. We don't know that for sure. But anyway, listen, I'm going to tell him exactly how to play ball. and I'm gonna look like the most menacing Peter Lorre caricature. I'm staring across from fucking like 3 rooms away. My eyes are drooping down and they're hanging on
We
the
need
table.
Aggie to watch Succession.
Mm-hmm.
Because the actor who
Yeah,
plays
you need
Roy
to
Cohn
acknowledge
is
the-
legendary on Succession.
The talent of Jeremy Strong.
I have played the L to the OG rap in the car many times while Aggie was in the car, so he
Hell
is
yes.
slightly familiar.
That's Roy Cohn rapping.
Yes, that was him.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I think I have watched a couple episodes over there, like over the last couple years, but I'm very disjointed on my Succession knowledge, very minimal.
Well, I found one of the X-Men Origins Wolverine moments that I liked. He goes to an artsy-fartsy party, and he meets an artist, and she tells him making money is art. And that inspires him to call his book The Art of the Deal, which there's a whole conversation about at the end. Yeah.
I thought that was Andy Warhol.
Oh, I thought it was a lesbian.
No, that was Andy Warhol.
Yeah. Wait,
Hey, what's the
real
difference,
life
man?
guy? They got him to play himself?
Oh. Yeah, they got the real guy.
Oh, wow. I thought that was like some weird lesbian. I don't know.
Kind of looks like I was playing this game Dustborn. That's really the talk of the town right now. It's the quote-unquote wokest game ever, and there's a like Finnish non-binary character that also looks like Andy Warhol. So who could really say? And probably just like how Andy's art was so fluid, maybe some other things were a little fluid too.
Do we think Roy Cohn actually had the 3 rules of life to how to always win? And
That's one of the things that feels like it's so like perfectly encapsulated into what Trump became.
Yeah.
That it's just too neat of a screenwriter thing.
It's
to be
almost like they're taking-
he gave Trump.
they're giving Trump like the benefit of the doubt, almost like it's not his fault. This is what he was taught by his
Right,
real
right.
father figure. He's just a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, some people think he might be a puppet. I don't know.
No puppet.
Who could ever think that Donald Trump was ever puppeteered by a gay Jewish man? You know what? That is ridiculous if you ask me.
I wrote down what I think the 3 rules were. Tell me if I'm right. Was it, it doesn't matter what people think of you, fuck morality, there is no truth with a capital T, the only thing that matters is winning, and never admit defeat. Like, that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, pretty much.
More or
Yeah.
less.
And that's how Aggie lives his life, and he stays winning every day.
And so, you know, there's one thing. Life is only what you perceive it to be, right? Maybe that's what Elon Musk said. That's why he's putting computers in our brains now, so we can perceive something different. But
Every
it's
day,
really
Aggie
about what you
says
make it.
"fuck morality," and he buys a Jimmy John's gift card for $2.50 for a $10 card. That's he's breaking the law every single day. He doesn't care.
That's right. And I'm gonna keep doing it. Shout out to Homeboy Parade Shop.
Would you like to be hooked up, E-Rich, with the cheap Jimmy John's?
Okay, wait. $250 Jimmy John's gift card.
Aggie,
I
you'll
see.
have to explain, Aggie.
Listen. I'm gonna tell you like this, okay? My name is Jimmy Cohen, the Jimmy John's man. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need to know. You go and you buy the gift card from an Indian man. It's worth $10, but you can buy it for $2.50. Now, you see, it's a good deal. That's a good deal on paper, but that's the thing is that they'll try to tell you anything on paper. You gotta have a little bit of chutzpah, okay? So what you do is you go to temporarymail.com and you get an email address that's good for 10 minutes. You go get the Jimmy John's mobile app. Then you use your 10-minute email. Then you're gonna go on and you buy your sandwich and you put in your $10 gift card. And guess what? You're gonna get, for that $2.50 you spent, you get your $10 sandwich and you get a free sandwich because it's your first account. And once you ate your free sandwich, you uninstall the app. You don't even got to clear the trackers. You uninstall your app and you reinstall the app and you put in another 10-minute email address and you order your sandwich and you get another free sandwich. And I've had about 100 free sandwiches. That is the art of the deal. That is the art of the deal, my friends.
What's the
Much
website?
like Trump, I'm leaning in, my lips are pursed, I'm nodding occasionally.
Roy Cohn, Jimmy Cohn, what's the website in case E-Rich or anybody wants to get some sandwiches?
Listen, usually you'd have to be in my inner circle you know, maybe even in the bathhouse to hear this one. But folks, today we're all connected from our buttholes, just like Roy Cohn said. You're going to go to paradeshop.net, and that's where you're going to go find you. I can't tell you too much more, but paradeshop.net, folks.
Yeah, figure it out from there.
I'm not legally accountable for how much Jimmy Johns might be defrauded on it based on this message. It was Jimmy Roy Cohen and not me.
Well, hey, my cousin Jimmy Cohn. Oh, he just left. Hey, Eggy, you can come back from the bathroom now. My cousin's gone.
Oh, so
Eggy,
I was
you know about
hiding in
the
there.
sandwich business?
Yeah, Eggy, you ever get hungry for a sandwich?
He's talking about sandwiches.
Because my cousin Jimmy, he can hook you up.
Listen, the last time I ordered sandwiches, I was getting this email from Obama, said bring the hot dogs, and it was a whole big mess. It was a whole crazy thing going on. And I'm not trying to go back there, but, you know, my cousin Jimmy Roy, he knew all about that, and I'm not trying to get too close.
No puppet.
So yeah, what is the? I'm trying to think. It's really just 3 characters in this movie, right? It's Trump, it's Roy Cohn,
And Borat's daughter. This woman
Borat's
is
daughter,
2 for
Maria
2 on
Bakalova.
like making movies where I'm obsessed with Trump and I want to fuck Trump or his lawyer. Because he did the same, or she did the same shit in Borat too. Why is she so obsessed?
I feel like I saw her in something else, but I can't remember.
Some other like anti-Trump
there's a lot
shit, or was it just a normal movie?
I think it was a normal movie, but I don't recall.
There's a great scene when he tells her that her fake plastic tits were a mistake, and she's like, "Oh, you made me get these." I'm pretty sure that was also in like The Wolf of Wall Street and maybe 50 other movies, but it's always funny to see.
Well, you know, I'll say Ms. Bakalova, after a cursory glance of her accreditations, it seems like once she kind of moved from Europe to America and was doing some more progressive works, it seems like that definitely like upped her rank in the Hollywood scene. So maybe, you know what, while the getting is good, I can't blame her for that.
It's the American Dream, baby. It looks like she played the dog in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating
the space
pets.
dogs that are telepathic, I think. Let's talk about the Trump performance, because I think, as somebody who has only seen modern day Trump, and I'm not really familiar with how he spoke in the 70s, I think he has evolved the way he speaks, and that he almost is like a cartoon caricature of himself when he's speaking to the public. And thankfully, Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, late Marvel actor, he's here playing Trump when he's, in his early 30s, late 20s, whatever. And I thought he disappeared into the role. It's not the Trump I'm familiar with, so that made it a lot easier to believe it. And I didn't see Sebastian Stan in there. Did you guys? Did you think he did a good Trump here?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good transformation. When he started to do more of the Trump shit that like we all know and love, and towards the end of the movie, it felt like a natural kind of evolution for the guy to be doing that kind of stuff at this point. So, like, I think he embodied just kind of a guy at the beginning, and then he took on more and more of those kind of like tics and the way he talks, and yeah, like I feel like he watched tons of Trump's like interviews and speeches and stuff like that.
So, you guys might have recognized this. There's a couple points, I think, in the film where there's recreations of interviews that Trump gave at certain points. At least I think it was in the 80s. There's the one that you might have seen that's pretty famous, where he gets asked about if he would run for president. He's like, well, listen, if I ran, I'd win, because I always win. And, I definitely
The question was, like, what if you went bankrupt? What would you do if you were bankrupt? And he said, I would run for president. And she's like, oh, no, yeah, you'd be a great one. If only she knew how right she was. Am I right, E-Rich?
Damn. So much foreshadowing.
Damn it, we need Florian here. Somebody needs to get pissed.
Well, I'll say, for my... I'm not familiar with Mr. Sebastian Stan's performance as the Winter Soldier. I haven't seen that film. And as I was first watching in the first part of this film, well, even Trump's character is on the shaky ground. He doesn't have that strong Cohn enforcement yet. I wasn't super feeling it at first, because I'm like, I mean, I get it. Nobody's going to be perfect, but it wasn't landing perfectly for me to start. And then as Roy Cohn is introduced and the Trumpian energy begins to radiate from Mr. Cohen and is received by Trump, then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, I don't think this was me having a trouble suspending disbelief with Stan in this role. I think it's just that who I was seeing on screen as Trump was not the Trump I knew. And as those Trumpian traits begin to develop, then I see the energy that I'm familiar with really shining through. And yeah, the melding of Mr. Stan into becoming Mr. Trump is very well done, in my opinion.
And it's not a caricature or cartoony like every single other Trump I've ever seen. Like, what's the closest thing to a fair, or not even fair, just like a non-satire, non-parody Trump performance? Is there one at all? Is this the only one?
I don't think that I know there's some older Trump media out there, but this is really when he was coming into his own in terms of when he's developing Trump Tower, when he's making these big real estate moves, he's starting to develop his own money. He is in the company of celebrities and of socialites. So that's when we're starting to really keep an eye on him as an American public at all. And then as we come into like the 90s, he's known as this extravagant symbol of luxury. And so he has to be very, not even just the kind of resilience that we've seen even since back in like the Apprentice days and the TV show, and then into the political sphere over the last, 18 years or so that I've been living to be familiar with. He had to, have that kind of strength behind the scenes, that kind of resilience behind the scenes, and then project this sort of image of decadence and luxury. So a lot of boisterous behavior there, and then also in his public appearances, politically speaking as well. So yeah, it's been hard for us to get a bead on a more humanized Trump that we see, at least for sure earlier in the picture. Things might get a little muddled moving after into the second half, but yeah.
Well, is this the rare biopic where it's the story of succeeding and success from the point of view of like a Boy Scout? Like, Trump is straight edge. He does not drink. He does not smoke. Like, his brother goes through all these addictions. He sees it firsthand and does not want that to be him. As a teenager, they found that he had a collection of like knives, like switchblades, because he thought it would be cool, like a West Side Story. So they sent him to military school, and it's really the story of Trump's real father, Fred Trump. He thought he's kind of like another father I once talked about, maybe named Peter, who thought he could just throw money at a problem to make it go away, even though, like, I don't think Trump having switchblades is even an issue to begin with, let alone like they're pretty much sending him to kid prison at that point. But instead of like raising him himself, he just threw him into kid prison, military school. And then when like a sinister force comes in who's a better father figure, Trump gets influenced by him because his own dad wasn't there to be a good influence on him. So, but ultimately it leads to like Trump winning. Like, he wants to purchase this rundown building. Everybody tells him it's a bad idea, but he goes through with it anyway. And ultimately, Trump Tower is a huge success. So, like, he wins in the end. And if not for, like, the rape scene, like, this is almost like just a movie of a guy winning and being, successful.
Kind of reminds me a lot of this movie. I think it was called Look Who's Back, where another famous politician is suddenly back on the scene and everybody agrees with him, but then he like kicks a dog for no reason, and they're like, oh, well, he's bad because he kicked that dog. I mean, maybe there's legal precedent that Trump really did take Ivana down to the floor with the stone cold slam right through the concrete and just start going at it.
Well, I have to imagine it's only in the movie if she specifically said that it happened somewhere at some point. Do we have any word on this, E-Rich?
I don't know. I don't read any of that nonsense.
Because I doubt they would like write a rape scene of a living real person.
Unless somebody claimed it.
Unless she claimed it, I have to assume, but But other than that, Everidge, do you think this movie paints Trump in like a sinister light, or is it kind of just straightforward with what they think happened?
I think it's surprisingly fairly straightforward overall. Like, I think you can pretty easily read whatever side you want onto it and just say, like, yeah, this is how Trump became the hero who doesn't take shit from anyone and doesn't just pursues what he wants and doesn't care about anything else. Like, I think that's within this movie to read it that way.
And I think gleaming from your Letterboxd 3-star review that I think I gave 3 stars, I think you kind of feel like it doesn't have much to say or doesn't really go anywhere. It's just kind of spinning random wheels a little bit. What do you think the filmmakers were trying to say in making this and releasing this a month before the election? Because is this supposed to be a warning against electing him again or something? What is it supposed to be?
So I feel like the movie is like primarily, it's called The Apprentice, so it's primarily about Trump being taken under the wing of Roy Cohn. And I kind of feel like when Trump comes out from under Roy Cohn, the movie kind of really falls into that biopic kind of, it's just random scenes of Trump doing things that you'd know that Trump would do around this time, with kind of not a whole lot of insight into his character or how he's feeling about those things. Like there is a scene where I think his brother Fred Jr. has died or something, and he kind of like can't process it. He's like crying in the bed, but he doesn't want to be like comforted by his wife. He doesn't want like any kind of like just comfort from anyone. He just wants to sit there and have his emotion. Like I don't necessarily think that's the worst thing. That's just how some people process it. But I mean, for the most part, you don't really get that kind of insight into the character when Roy Cohn's not also there. So it makes Trump feel a little bit empty occasionally.
Well, I just want to say one thing real quick first, because I was curious to see if there was legal precedent for the assault that happens in the film.
I'm glad somebody's looking this shit up.
So this scene was written based off of a Daily Beast article that they have since retracted and taken down from their website. Which was based on a 1993 book, which apparently was just basically colorful tabloid material. Here's a quote from Ivana Trump. Quote, "I referred to it as a rape. I do not want my words to be interpreted in a literal or criminal sense." End quote. Also, quote, that story was from a time of very high tension, unquote, during divorce proceedings. And then a quote from Ivana Trump, that story was totally without merit, end quote. So sounds like maybe she was blowing a fight out of proportion to a tabloid, and then they ran with it, and then it was basically jumbled up in a flamboyant, inflammatory way for the Daily Beast during the 2016 election season for some benefit to them. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever the case is, they have rescinded that article entirely. It's no longer available under their publishing at this time. So any type of proof that this happened was said to some tabloid reporter when she was really fired up during her divorce proceedings, and now she says that it is, quote, totally without merit. So that is the fact check. That's right. I thought it was just for debate. Judges, no siree. Fact check over here. It sounds like they might need to take that scene with a grain of salt.
Well, Aggie, with that in mind, I found another quote from the director, because Trump's like, he tried to sue this movie and not let it get distributed. He said it's full of bullshit and bias, blah blah. The director said, "The film is a fair and balanced portrait of the former president. We want everyone to see it and then decide." And then, no, where was the... Abbasi offered to screen the film for Trump, believing he might approve of its depiction of him. Can you imagine that? You put a scene of, like, somebody raping a woman and then send it to him like, yeah, I think you'll agree with this depiction of you. Why would you have a problem with any of this?
Well, I mean, I'm a fair and balanced guy myself. I heard somebody once say, they let you do it when you're rich like me and you grab them by the pussy, so...
Who said that?
A lot. Well, I thought that was former
Billy Bush.
Donald Trump.
Billy Bush said that.
Oh, that was him? I thought it was Trump
He better
said that.
lose his job.
Is he still alive? All I remember is
I would have
Billy
killed
Beer.
myself if I were him.
Billy Bush, if you're out there alive still, I'm not even going to Google it. Bring back Billy Beer, and let's all have a nice cold one, a nice drink combo on the rocks tubes.
Yeah, that's one thing we don't need to fact check. Is Billy Bush alive? Because the answer is who cares?
If it ain't him bringing back Billy Beer, hey, you know what? The Bushes have done enough as far as I'm concerned. Hashtag Illuminati.
Do you think this really
Anyway.
happened? Oh, go ahead, Iggy.
I think that it is. All right, here's what I'll go double check the production time frame for the movie. It definitely feels planned for it to have been released this close to election season and this close to the election. I think there would be an argument for that being released, and it would be the most lucrative time because it would be the most topical time for it to be released that you could probably muster. Obviously, it was not financially successful based on those metrics, so oopsie daisy. But I mean, yeah, I guess if I was needing to recoup as much money as possible and not knowing it was going to fail, I would probably try to screen it around this time for that reason. Culturally and impactfully speaking, it isn't so pointed to me to try and influence election results. It's based in the 70s and 80s. So that wouldn't really make any sense to me compared to some other contemporary election-related film and TV shows. So that's my best guess, is that they were hoping that this would just be the time to screen it, this would be the time to distribute it, and they were very, very wrong and not right at all. So,
Okay, I got 2 questions for you boys. Question 1. If on July 13, a certain somebody was a little more successful and Trump dies on national television, does this film still get released?
Wait, January 13th?
Didn't I say July?
Oh.
Either way.
We'll play the tape. We'll play the tape.
Do you think they would have released this if Trump was assassinated is the question.
Yes, I think they would have.
Really? That seems in poor taste. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of instances in which the the main character, the main concept of the movie.
I'm just saying, if you
have
have a Jimmy Carter biopic, release it right the fuck now, because it's going to be in poor taste so soon.
from July in it happening to November, October, November, it's 3 or 4 months.
Uh-huh.
I think that's enough.
Well, question number 2 was going to be, and still is, if Trump was assassinated and this released, would it have made more money? Because people wouldn't be scared of Trump anymore. All the anxiety of the country is gone. It's oh yeah, it's Biden. Biden might have stated. I don't know. Was Biden out by the 13th? He was not, right?
No, I don't think he was.
Would he have stayed in if Trump died?
I think he would have stayed in if Trump died.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, my point is, would it have made more money?
Not much more, I don't think. I think people just don't care to see Trump stuff.
Yeah.
The American public, just generally, the Dinesh D'Souza movie didn't make crazy amounts of money.
No, and we were going to do that as the Election Day special,
Yeah.
but it was only in theaters for 3 days. We didn't see it in time, and now it's gone. And I thought they would put it on VOD by now. Hopefully by Election Day it will be.
Mm-hmm.
We might have to do it next week or not at all.
Yeah, I think most people who are totally pro-Trump are not going to see anything that is by the liberal media, and anybody who's anti-Trump just is tired of him. So yeah, I think no matter what, even if he was killed horribly by what's his name, that kid, I don't know what his name is.
It was Toby Ronaldo.
Well, here's what I think. I think that it would have not released because the real Trump heads, they probably would have gone crazy about that situation. They probably would be living under a bridge right now, eating beans out of cans. There'd be drone strikes dropping left and right. The whole country got to flip upside down, tore apart into shreds and pieces.
You're saying this all would have happened after Trump died, and then the movie wouldn't have been released because the entire country's in a state of chaos, is what you're saying?
Yes.
No movie would release.
We would have missed out on Will and Harper. Thankfully, Love won. That's right.
Well, I think if they released Will and Harper as a remedy for society, everybody would have learned how to love, and we would have ended the Trump war.
Will Ferrell would have just been like reading the tweets about Civil War II and been like, yeah, I just don't know why, man. I just don't get it. And then Harper comes in and pats him on the back like, don't worry, we're in control now. We're going to make this a better place. And then everybody starts doing kumbaya and hand circles.
Everybody's like celebrating Trump's death and making jokes, and Jack Black commits suicide. He can't take it.
Fuck Jack Black. You don't abandon your friends like that.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Minecraft movie.
I hope that movie does terribly.
We're going to give it a big boost with Is It Kino?
I do not care for Minecraft, so I'll be interested to understand why anyone likes Minecraft in any way by watching the movie based on it.
Well, from what I've seen from that trailer, I don't know if you're going to get a great depiction of real gamer culture. It might just be not the best way to learn, but for all I know, I'm completely wrong. I'm ready to eat my words in a harsh way, just like if I was having to eat Jack Black's beard.
What did you guys think of all the Trump sex scenes in the movie? Because there's quite a few. There are lots of titties and naked women in the movie, and one of them sucking on Donald's Trump, if you know what I'm saying.
And you can't get hard in that one scene?
It's because he just enjoyed a little bit too much Adderall, and who among us could say that we were been any different? It's the blood flow gets a little goofed up, your blood pressure gets a little messed up, so he just figures out he's got to get that fixed up. But really, it was all the doctor's fault. These are supposed to be trusted professionals. They say you need this medicine, and he's willing to, as a real patriot, he says, all right, this is what my country's best paid medical professionals are telling me. Maybe that's the reason why he still trusted them one last time when it was 2020. He said, all right, let me concoct this great injection from homeboy Fauci and all our greatest geniuses and get it out to the people immediately. But when for those among us who have enjoyed a little amphetamine from time to time, for me, it makes me just, go even harder. So I don't know, maybe it's an old man thing. Maybe in 10 years from now, it won't hit me the same, But
what you're saying is you're glad you saw Trump fuck on the big screen.
Hey, there's not too many scenes that I've stood up and applauded to in theaters or at home, even for that matter.
Well, did we see Borat's daughter's tits, or was some other woman riding him in that scene?
Those were probably fake tits.
Oh, not her.
Speaking of fake tits, shout out to Ivana. He's in the movie. He's like, listen, I like them all natural. I don't like all this plastic stuff. I know I paid for you to get fake tits, but now I'm going to go have sex with other women because actually they're pretty gross. Roy Cohn is dying of AIDS. Donald Trump's wheeling him through like the memorial garden, like in a wheelchair, and he bends over and goes, hey, look at these natural knockers on this bitch. And he hands Roy Cohn a bunch of pictures of like some girl's tits as he's like sitting in his chair dying of AIDS.
Just showing it off to his gay friend who's dying of gay AIDS. In that scene when he points out her plastic tits, we did watch a cam rip of this, so at some theater, probably in Australia, who knows. And she argues back at him, calling him, she says, you look like an orange. And the audience in the cam rip did start laughing and like pointing at the screen like Leo DiCaprio. Did we laugh as well, Aggie, or...
Well, since she's talking about, not orange color, but like that he's like rotund, like a
big round-faced orange man.
Yeah. If they hadn't given me the laugh track, I probably would have not really paid it too much mind. But as soon as they said orange, they're like...
Shout out to Georgie and Mandy.
So, I did, I gave it a chuckle because it gave me that immediate reconsideration of what did it say?
Do we think that Trump actually scheduled his liposuction / hair transplant on the same day as Roy Cohn's funeral so that he wouldn't have to go to it? Because that's what this movie portrays.
Wait, was it a hair transplant? I thought they cut off a piece.
Yeah, and then they
stapling
shit in, weren't they? It was nasty, whatever they were doing.
Were they? Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking too close. Like, they got some accurate-looking surgery footage.
Would you recommend what happened to Trump there as like a good way to not have to deal with hair loss?
In 1980, it was probably good. All you got to do now is just shave your head, and you get a hair system where it's just like you glue on hair, like how certain people do wigs.
Or
So
you
don't
watch
gotta
an
get your
Emp
head
Lemon
chopped.
video and get a code word for keeps.
What's up, boys? It's Wavy Webster. If your boy was losing hair and he was losing it fast, that's why as soon as I started taking keeps, look at the travel throughout the years, and now I've got a full, thick head of hair, which is just a finasteride solution or minoxidil, which are these are things you can buy generically and not through keeps. You want to get them for about 90% cheaper, but
Now, what if
hey,
Trump
you know
was doing a YouTube ad for hair loss, but it was about stapling shit into your scalp? What would that sound like, Iggy?
Listen, you know, over here in Donald Trump Tower, I always have to be the strongest man on the job, and this is a very difficult job. It's probably the most difficult, mind you. So I started having a little bit of thinning hair. But Bosley Hair for men, they said, hold up, we got some real technology here for you. It's state-of-the-art technology, folks. Donald Trump wouldn't use anything less. So they gave me a scalp incision. They just came over the top of me like they were taking the root off a turnip. And they hit me with that staple gun right out of Office Max. I said, listen, folks, I love our offices. We have the best offices in Trump Tower. Give me the strongest staple gun from Office Max. And they put my head back together like Humpty Dumpty. But we're not falling off the wall, folks. We're making a stronger wall, and we're building it right now. Mexico's going to pay for it. I've been Donald Trump for Bosley for men, and this is a paid partnership.
And you know what? Fuck it, E-Rich. Let's hear Foghorn Leghorn.
Now, I say I do declare that the Trump voices in this movie were fairly good. It was about what I expected, but they put a little mustard on it for the last couple of scenes, and you could really tell that Sebastian Stan was doing a good job.
Mm-hmm. Do we want Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong nominated for Oscars? Because I definitely want Jeremy Strong.
Definitely Jeremy Strong.
We see him
As much
like
as I
naked
like-
on a bed getting fucked hard. Like, you know, he's putting it all out there. Give him the little shiny trophy.
If we know Jeremy Strong at all, he was definitely getting fucked hard. He's so method. He's so like into his roles.
He demanded that
I
he's
would
actually
honestly-
getting fucked in the ass on camera to make it look real.
I would not. I would
Just
not,
put a condom
deny
on
that
it.
he had gotten AIDS to really experience.
To know what it's like to be on your death's door with AIDS.
All I'm saying is, look at Tom Hanks's awards. Sometimes you got to go the extra mile. Shout out to Philadelphia.
Based on what's her name, Ivana's response, would you guys be interested in getting a prenup before you get married?
You're talking to Mr. Pickup Artist, Red Pill, Peacocking, or whatever that guy, Mystery, the Mister, or whatever the guy on MTV was that wore the giant hat. You know what? I'm deep in the game. I know about these things. And so, you know, for sure.
Ashton Kutcher? I don't think so.
Giant hat.
No, Eggy's thinking of the guy with all the question marks on his clothes. And he tells you how to get some money.
Yeah. Got money from the government.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's a pickup artist now.
We should elect him for the fucking president.
To give us all money from the government?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Maybe he can directly give it to us from the government.
Somebody complained, and I could not find the comment, but somebody said, you know, in the long history of Visit Kino, there are some catchphrases that I haven't been using lately, and I don't remember exactly what they were. It's like, let's go around the horn and say if it was Kino or Crinjo, and like if you have anything you want to plug or anyone you want to hug. We are at 300 total episodes of Visit Kino, because I counted them up. Starting back at Office Christmas Party, a movie that Kino Corner was an extra in, that me and my roommate Cobb reviewed. If you start counting from there and leave out, like, you know, the She-Hulks and stuff that aren't actually Is It Kino episodes, we're pretty much like just past 300. So maybe we should do like some special episode to celebrate that, and maybe people should post like their favorite moments and quotes that we can reminisce about.
That would be very beautiful. Shout out to the audience for holding us down, and mostly, not as much me, but mostly homeboy Jimmy and E-Rich for holding them down 300 episodes strong. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Even if some of them were like 15 minutes, it still counts.
It does. Yeah. They were distinct episodes.
But anything you want to plug about the movie? Anything you want to hug about the movie? That's my new catchphrase.
Wow. I'll plug Jeremy Strong's performance, and I'll hug also Jeremy Strong, because I feel like this guy tortures himself making these things, and he probably needs some love and caring.
His character would probably
Jeremy.
appreciate a hug from you.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So is it Kino? Would you recommend it, or is it just a little too bland?
It's like right on the line of Kino, like where it's like it is probably leaning into Kino, but it's not as cringo as it could have been. So, you know, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah, it's low-key impressive, but still does not bring enough to the table to be even recommendable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think anybody should waste their time to see it.
Several other movies before I recommend this.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Aggie? How many stars would you give it on Letterboxd if you kept up with your Letterboxd?
I'm feeling very middle of the road about it. I would want to say I feel like it's just so very average because it has the elements of, you know, political theater is just so it's just so extreme, you know, these days that nothing in the film is exactly like so mind-blowing. And I know it's not supposed to be politically based, but this is why anybody's gonna, you know, probably be interested in this film one way or the other because of Trump's politics. So you're coming in here and you're basically seeing a story about a man developing a business, and like I think I meant this is pretty much coming back around full circle to what I mentioned at first. This is a business development family drama with some elements of racial and sexual issues, but yeah, if you almost have to be interested in Trump to really get anything more than a very average film here, and you're probably interested in it for politics, which isn't too much of the that's not really his character in this. It's more of a business-minded man. So it was perfectly all right. It wasn't bad, but it's not great. Yeah, I feel like you were pretty on the nose with don't bother unless you are really interested in Trump and maybe interested in business, and you can get a little bit out of the family drama that kind of stitches things along between the business scenes. Yeah, 2.5, I'm thinking.
Oh, wow, even lower than me and E-Rich.
Yeah, damn.
Here's who I would recommend the movie to, and you have to use your imagination a little bit to see this clearly. But I would say teenagers 50 years into the future from now. Because whether Trump wins or loses today on Election Day, it's yet to be seen, yet to be said. But it's safe to say 50 years from now, when the whole Trump movement is over and forgotten about, he will basically be regarded as a modern-day Hitler. And if the teenagers of that time,
Hitler, damn.
you know, a more modern Hitler, like they'll only highlight the absolute worst parts and blame him for all the horrible blah 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 that happens. Who cares? My point is, this movie will be for the Omega, Beta, Alpha Zoomers, whatever generation they are, and they can see, you know, that Trump was a human and this is what he was like, and you know, he's not just like the caricature that they'll be seeing all over the place.
Well, that is a very thoughtful perspective, and when you mention it that way, there is definitely merit in the film in that regard. Even now, it's just it's not particularly entertaining cinema, but it does have that humanizing angle, and it does have the origins of Mr. Trump and his influences. We can at least say that Cohen was certainly an influence on Trump's behavior in his business dealings. It kind of helped him to get this art of the deal mentality that pushed him forward relentlessly all the way to the top. I'm talking about ruler of the free world, at least 4 years, and here comes 8 starting tonight.
There is one more point I just found in my notes, and it's that when she's insulting him and she says, "You look like an orange, you're fat," but once she says the word bald, that's his breaking point.
That's a mall.
He yells,
Yeah.
"Bald!" and that's when he throws her to the ground and starts raping her. So, you know, as a guy who is slowly balding, am I about to have like horrible aggression and rage and start raping people, Aggie?
Well, I mean, I feel like I've got a unique perspective because I'm not legally bald, but I've had the hairline of a 70-year-old man my entire life due to my deformed head shape. So I'm not sure if I could get... I feel like I kind of rolled over, like my odometer of hatred rolled over. I don't think that's necessarily true because I can still get kind of... I can get a little gnarly sometimes, but I think that if you can thug it out, as they say... I don't think you're going to take any woman down to the ground and start doing things to their body.
You're saying I have to be more thug than Donald Trump even.
I mean, well, here's the thing, too. When he was in a high-stress situation, he's got all this business stuff he's got to work on. This is his wife who was enamored by his legacy already. That's why she came into the fold. She's nagging him all the time. He's got to see his hair falling out. The nagging's just increasing the baldness. He's got to go to these stressful business dealings. That's not helping.
His father doesn't believe in him. He's calling him a nincompoop, even though Trump was ultimately right about the Trump Tower.
Are you saying that the number one reason for balding is not genetic, but instead nagging by a bitch wife?
Yeah, it's stress-induced. And also his diet is like he's always eating like food of the common man, and Roy Cohn is disgusted by it, so maybe his poor diet contributes to his hair loss, like perhaps somebody who's currently speaking who can say.
Hey, maybe it needs a little bit more DoorDash Taco Bell. They didn't have it back then. You know, things would have been a lot different. He could have had some mayonnaise and onions under a do-rag, and he could have really got it the natural way. But what else is money for, folks? Listen, I think who was it that said that? Cristiano Ronaldo said there's no such thing as an ugly person, only a poor person, because if you got the money, then some doctors can treat you funny. I'm talking about make you look good no matter what. So
even if it's big fake plastic tits. E-Rich, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on Letterboxd at Rowan1138, and you can find me on X.com, the everything app, at TZAREVAN. I'm still over 1,000 on there, so holding strong.
How is your watch of every shitty Disney cartoon going?
I watched the Lizzie McGuire movie, which teaches that you should not trust young Italian men. Instead, you should go with the Gordos in your life. Gordo's not going to do you wrong. Gordo's here.
That's it? That's all you've watched recently is the Lizzie McGuire movie?
I mean, I also watched Atlantis, Milo's Return, and...
is Michael J. Fox in that movie?
No, he's not. Okay. It's voiced by James Earl Taylor in that movie. Yeah, just some really rough things. Inspector Gadget 2, starring French Stewart. Not good. Yeah, it's a real bad era for Disney right now.
Well, I've entered the low point era of the Medea franchise as well, so we're both at a bad part of our marathons.
All right.
Imagine being at the low point of Medea.
That's pretty bad. That's
like there was a point much higher than this in the past is the problem. It's so bad.
You're like, the glory days are over.
So true, man. Like these used to actually be movies, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm now reviewing ones that were actually discussed on Izakino, so I'm going to plug in clips from 2017.
Does it start getting really bad when he has his like compound where it's like he just films things all the time, and like
it started getting really bad in like 2016, so I don't know when he started that.
I'll be very interested to see when he started his production fucking place wherever he films shit.
Yeah. Aggie, what do you want to plug?
Well, today is election day, but in theory, if we were recording this sometime prior to election day, I would say now on today on election day, you can go to rumble.com/c/Aggie White, all one word. And the Naruto Virgin podcast should be about probably 3 episodes deep. Maybe have some Eggy Foods on there, more than one episode, at least one for sure.
How often
Yeah,
are you going to be
whatever
releasing Naruto episodes?
Well, I should probably get on a weekly schedule, I imagine. I think that'll be fine. So
Okay.
if I really start getting into it, I could take on more. But, we'll see if people are showing up. And obviously Rumble's a little different than YouTube, not so algorithmical. But, if I put up a few on Rumble, see how they're doing, maybe I'll just upload a few on YouTube altogether and see if they get some traction on there as well.
Well, anytime, day or night, you want to make an Eggy food video, call me up. I'll be there to film it for you.
Much appreciated, Cameraman Tube, and I'll try to think of something dank and delicious that you can enjoy as well.
Well, everybody, if you're listening to this on the day of release, you still don't know who's going to win the election. We don't know either. Should we do some sort of bet while we're here in the final day of not knowing? Or what are you guys thinking? Winner gets to pick a movie that we review in the future?
Well, I'm going to immediately just take charge here. Listen, right now, theoretically, if this was, let's say, a couple weeks before the election, right now, Donald Trump is up in the polls significantly. Kamala, she's in free fall, so I'm not going to be the underdog here. Trump is going to win. It is what it is.
E-Rich, do you concur? You're going to put your bet on that?
No, I think Kamala's going to win. I think the Trump ground game is not very good. He put his trust in Elon Musk, and as always, Elon Musk is terrible. So,
is that Kennedy guy still running? Can I pick him?
he's going with the Maha contingent.
Who? Wait, RFK didn't even go to Trump. He went to some made up shit.
No, he is with Trump, but he's doing Make America Healthy Again, Maha, which is like from the Amanda Bynes show, right?
E-Rich, I deleted X off my phone 2 weeks ago because it wouldn't let me log in. So I said, fuck it, I don't care. So I am missing out on all news stories, all politics. So like, it's just not part of my life anymore because I don't look at Twitter for an hour and a half a day.
Probably better. I should probably stop.
Yeah, so for all I know, anybody could win. So I don't know who to put my bet behind. So maybe it could just be you two, and then the winner between you two gets to pick a movie.
Cool.
So Boys in the Hood as the Trump victory lap from Aggie. Is that right?
Sounds good to me. A base black president and a base black cinema to complement each other. That's what I'm talking about.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.